Hi, I'm Michael P. Coleman, Content Director for Brother Be Well. Thanking you for checking out this Parents and Caregiver series brought to you by Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative. Is it something, Christian, that you have to remind children of repeatedly? Is that a concept they're not at fault that they tend to get fairly quickly, or is it one that you might have to remind them again and again and again?
Yes, it is something that you want to remind them over and over again. You want to keep them on track because it's repetitive hearing, right? So you want them to hear that it's not their fault because they're going to forget. They have short-term memory, so it is important that you do that.
Let me ask another question. And according to NAMI, we need to involve the whole family in these conversations about mental health. Why is it so important that the entire family be a part of these conversations?
I always say this. There's really no such thing as individual counseling for children. It's automatically family counseling. So it's good to include the whole family system because, when you look at the family system, because mental health conditions impact everyone, sometimes a child's mental health issue derives from an existing maladaptive or unhealthy family system. So a lot of those symptoms that a child is seeing are sometimes they come from the dysfunctional family system, the nuclear issue. So more importantly, in order to find for a child to improve in that area, it may require the parents to receive some psychoeducation or parenting classes to become aware of how the parenting style is really exacerbating or worsening that medical condition for the child.
Let me ask another one, Christian, and I feel like we're really tapping you. You're the expert here, so I'm trying to get as much information out of you as I can. It's important I understand that conversations with children about mental health are frequent. We have them a lot, and that adults allow children to ask questions. I'm wondering, from your perspective as a marriage and family therapist, why is that so important? And what's the best way, in your opinion, to make space for children to have those conversations that they're absolutely a part of, that they're an active participant
It's important to really have, these conversations frequently because, like anything else, it becomes easier to talk about something the more it occurs. So, it also reduces the shame and stigma around the conversation the more it occurs as well. So one way to make space is actually reading books with them. A couple of books that I use is I Am Enough. It's an age appropriate book from ages, 2 up to 12 years old, or mental health. What is that? That's another book that's really useful for teenagers and adolescents that are good for young ones as well. So some of these books are really helpful too because you're reading a book with them, and and of course kids like to hear someone read to them and read them a story. Why not make it a mental health related book where there's tons of authors out there who are focusing on that. And children are also wired to learn over time. So if the conversations start early while they're young, it could become a part of their everyday language. You may start to hear things like, "Mom and Dad, you hurt my feelings, and that made me sad," and things like that. So for younger children, it's best to read those books. And as they get older, it gets challenging as a teen. So teen conversations may become more difficult. So it's recommended, to just keep talking to them. Just keep talking, even if they do not respond, they're listening and check in using those open-ended questions and that will actually force them to provide more of the responses. Example is, tell me about some of the challenges at your school today versus how was school today. One's open-ended, one's closed-ended question. So those are some examples.
so keeping those questions open-ended and many of them over time and making it a part of your ongoing pattern of conversation with your kids. I think that's what I'm hearing you say.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you another one, Christian, if you don't mind. And I almost didn't plan to ask you this. Why is it it's so important to talk about self-care and prevention with children. I happen to think it's important to focus on self-care with everybody, but we're talking about mental health with children. So I wanted to ask you, why is self-care such an important topic when we're talking to our kids?
Oh man, this one's good because it's good. It goes against a lot of the theories of parenting, right? Most it really teaches them to be selfish. So in a good way, in a productive way. So children are always answering to an authority figure, right? They're always going and answering to someone, parents, teachers, hall monitors, therapists, doctors, things of that sort. So parental figures, they see that children are selfish in negative ways, such as not sharing, not thinking about others, speaking out of turn. So when parents teach children about self-care, it demonstrates that self-care is positively a selfish thing. You can call it self-love if you like. That's another way to phrase it towards a child. So self-care can really help kids, of all ages, become more introspective. So they're looking at what's important to them and aware of their physical and emotional needs. That's the most important thing. Self-care teaches that, what's important to me, what makes me feel good. And even small acts of self-care and self-help can decrease that stress, and it helps them to self-cope and self-soothe themselves. And it also helps prevent, future mental health conditions down the road. Because you got to remember, depression and borderline personality, anxiety, and other childhood disorders, they're created through environmental factors. So if you can eliminate some of those environmental issues by administering self-care and understanding how to express your feelings at an early age and regulate themselves, it'll go a long way.
I had never thought about, Christian. I appreciate you saying that. That talking about self care is on some level encouraging children to be selfish, and I think maybe that for adults, it's a little hard sometimes to put yourself first and to build self care into a regular regimen. And I didn't. It never occurred to me that it's kind of counter to what we teach people. We teach people to think of another person first, and with self care, you got to get that down. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
This next one, man, is it's hard. I hesitated to get into it with you, but it's so important. No one really wants to talk about suicide, and I would imagine that a lot of parents struggle with how we talk about suicide with children. We know that teens are we're losing teenagers every day to suicide in numbers that are staggering to me. I don't even like to think about it. Why should we talk about suicide with children? And most importantly for this conversation, how do we do that?
Well, as you said, it can be a tough topic, because look at societal norms have made it difficult, or there's a stigma around it, right? But most parents don't know where to start. It's important to discuss suicide because our children are living in the same world as us adults. They're seeing the same thing, they're witnessing the same things going on: the police brutality, the school shootings, the mass shootings, seeing their friends at school one day and the next they're deported, from abductions. My daughter on our softball team, just recently, a couple weeks ago, her teammate committed suicide. She was 13 years old. Her first experience as uh, an older, experiencing death. So they're experiencing adult issues on a day-to-day basis. So it's important to explain to them the differentiation between sadness and suicide, or suicidal ideation and suicide. You can be sad, and it doesn't mean you're suicidal. Or you can be thinking about, man, it would be nice to not be here right now, versus I want to kill myself. So teaching them the differences in the language between the two, letting them know that just because you thought during a frustration part of your life it was frustrating, oh, this world is so hard. It's not a suicidal ideation, but you want to explore those thoughts of anguish with them too, though. You want to explore where it's coming from. An effective way to talk about it really is bringing it up in a natural setting. Like, I seen on the news that this happened to a celebrity today. What do you think about that? And that kind of opens the door. It can be someone, a celebrity that they know of, but always in the conversation by letting them know that help is available. You're there to talk if needed, and you can find the resources if you don't know the answers. That's the main key points that you want to get across to them.
Really, those are some great points, Christian. Really, really appreciate it. We're just about out of time. Before I let you get out of here, again, we don't have a marriage and family therapist of your caliber every day, so I like to take advantage of it while we do. Anything we've missed in this conversation? Any final thoughts you want to impart to our viewers and listeners here at Brother Be Well about this critical topic, talking to children about mental health? Anything else you want to share?
I think just to close, I really like to share for the parents, caregivers listening that just keep in mind that there's no manual how to do this. We can really get caught up as parents just thinking we're doing things the wrong way, or we're really hard on ourselves, right? We want to be perfectionists in parenting. So there's not a right way. There's not a manual. The only wrong way to do it is not is not attempting to do anything. Not having these conversations, not trying to engage, and keep reaching out to them. And something else I would think is always keep in mind the maturity and the developmental level of your child. If you know they have a mental health condition, ADHD, for example, that within the frontal lobe is the executive functioning part of the brain. Their maturity level may be a little behind. They may be 13, but maturity wise, it may be 9 or 10. So understanding the background behind what their maturity level and developmental level is. And last, I will always say is educate yourself. That's really important. There's a ton of books and resources out there where plenty research has gone into. See if any of it fits your parenting style. And always check the source to see if it's coming from a credible place. That's really important too, to see where that literature and where that those books are coming from.
I could not. That's a perfect way to end, sir. I can't think of a more credible source than Christian Jacobs, marriage and family therapist and Brother Be Well clinical advisor. You the man, Christian. Really appreciate you.
Hey, you're not too bad yourself, Michael.
Well, I appreciate it, but hang on. Don't get too far away. We're letting you go this time, but we'll be back in touch for more editions of this Parents and Caregiver series. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you, Michael.
And I want to give you one more resource that we didn't get a chance to touch on. NAMI has developed a wonderful resource for talking to our kids about mental health. It's a coloring and activity book. It's called Meet Little Monster. It's great. It's also free. It's available in English and Spanish, and it's available for download at NAMI.org. For our listeners, that's NAMI.org. NAMI.org. Download it for free. It also includes a list of mental health resources. I want to thank our sponsor of this particular talk and the entire Parents and Caregiver series, Blue Shield of California, and specifically their Blue Sky initiative. That initiative boosts access to mental health support. You can read all about it at bluesky.blueshieldca.com. That's bluesky.blueshieldca.com. Another website, memorize this one for me, Brother Be Well. This video and a host of others, audio podcasts, print pieces, all designed to help boys and men of color, 13 and up, African American, Latinx, Asian and Pacific Islander, and Native and Indigenous be just as healthy and frankly as well as we can possibly be. We're a membership supported service. If you can join us, that's great. If you'd like to sign up for our blog, you can do that too. Just give us your email address, and 2 or 3 times a week, you'll get notifications when entries just like this video go live. So check all of that out at brotherbewell.com. My name, Michael P. Coleman. I'm content director for Brother Be Well. It's a great honor to serve in that role for you. Do 2 quick things for me. And I know I'm asking a lot of you today, but do 2 quick things for me. Take great care of yourself. And we're trying to help you do that. When you get that down, reach out and grab somebody. Take good care of somebody else too. Till next time, bye-bye.